Mid-Fall Speedball 2020. I'm your host, Focus, and with us right now we have TheTerrificTracy. Feel free to introduce yourself, Tracy.
Hello, I'm TheTerrificTracy, and I'm gonna be playing Kirby really fast if I can for all of us. So, we are good to start whenever, right?
Well, we should be good on time.
Okay. Okay.
Do you want me to count you down?
Just a moment. Time will start when I select my file, but I'm going to soft reset at the start just to manipulate some RNG. So I will count down. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright. So, every time you reset the game, values go back to where they should be, and every time Kirby hits something and stars fly out, it influences the luck a bit, and I did that just to make sure that those Waddle Doos didn't waste any time shooting beams around, so that went really well. And yeah, lots to cover about this game. For example, we see Tornado here. It is really, really good. It's one of the two main powers, but there's going to be a few others. However, not as many as you get in 100% rage glitches, though. But yeah, so Tornado, it has invincibility like as it starts up, and also a little bit after it wears off. And it takes Kirby pretty fast, like horizontally. So it's really, really good. And it's going to shred through a lot of bosses and mini bosses. Like this one here. Oh, come on. Not a desired pattern, but that's fine. So, anyway, on top of Tornado being really, really good, like this, this game, that Sparky there, this game has a lot of lag, and especially when Sparkies and Hotheads, I believe they're called, use their attacks. So it can be annoying to try to reduce lag. That would be very important if possible. But like that Sparky there's a lot of cases where they're just kind of out of the way and I can't do anything about it. So they can gradually lose me some time. But you just kind of deal with it.
Yeah, I kind of heard the word Sparky. I'm like, oh wait, that's my Sona. I was just so confused. I was like, huh? Where?
Yeah, I'm usually not one to remember the names of Kirby enemies, especially when enemies in almost every Nintendo game have like goofy names, and like I just mix them up all the time between like Mario and Zelda and this. But yeah. Also at the goal games here, it keeps telling me to press A, but actually I'm pressing A and B about back to back the moment before I hit the pad down there, because I want to launch on the first frame available to get the lowest possible height, but that can be a little hard to do, which is part of why I hit both back to back. In case I press it too early with one, I can cover it with the other. But yeah, there's not really too much for me to say here if you have anything to say.
Alright, I'm more than happy to. I'm just going to mention a few more incentives that I didn't really get to go to, which is the goals. I mentioned the Bit Wars. We have an upcoming, we have a few upcoming games with the Celeste games, both Celeste runs. Games, I don't know why I said it like that. We have a few Celeste runs, and they still have a few incentives yet to be met, so I want to mention that in Celeste Grabless, we have the Badline skin at $5.25 currently. We also have the Grabless 1C Showcase, still at $0.50, and Do Chapter 2 B-Side during the run at $0.40. We also have, for the Dance Pad run, we have the Input Display currently sitting at $50. So if you all are, have the availability to actually donate, you can donate or give to these incentives by hitting !donate in chat or going to www.speedrun.com/MFSB2020/donate.
Alrighty. So we saw that Tornado just kind of took out Wispy, like kind of like a tree you'd see in real life. Pretty realistic here. But yeah, Also, something I hadn't mentioned, Kirby also goes really fast when you slide off of ledges, which is really good to do when possible. The game's physics are actually really fun. One of my personal reasons why this is my favorite Kirby. So when you interact with slopes in the game, going down them speeds you up greatly, but when you go up them, it gets really rough to move, and then it can be annoying, especially in some of the later levels. But, yeah. For the most part, though, as we saw, World 1 overall didn't really have a lot going on in it, aside from some general enemy luck. World 2 is a bit more interesting, but at the same time, still a tad bland. It does have our first clip that's coming up in the next level, so that would be cool. But, yeah, so just go straight through the Grand Wheelie there, no problem. Nope. I'm gonna try to avoid health pickups when I don't need them, since it freezes the game for a moment.
Is there any particular reason why you're using the Japanese version of Kirby's Adventure?
Yeah, that's something I actually forget to mention sometimes. There's not really a strong reason for it. It only matters in one category, that's miscellaneous, and that was the category I learned first, because ironically, I mean, Kirby's Adventure is pretty popular, but it's not always popular as a Kirby speed game, and it's not usually preferred over others because, like, there's so much tornado in it. Sometimes to some it seems boring, and I actually had that opinion at first. So the first category I learned was no abilities, where it only mattered at the end of the run because the manipulation works a little differently on Japanese. But in every other category, it doesn't matter at all. And ironically, I ended up liking Tornado more than I thought I would. But, yeah. So that clip where I just fell straight to the floor and cut out the water room of 2-3, it's kind of interesting how that works. Nobody has an exact, like, concrete explanation, but my understanding personally, or at least my assumption, is that so it only works when you run over a one-tile gap and then crouch about halfway over it, but only if Kirby has a power that doesn't give you a holdable weapon. Because if you ever pay attention closely, when Kirby's holding any power, Kirby has an orangish tint compared to being a bit more pink when you don't have anything. So I assume that Kirby uses a slightly different model when you have a power, or a slightly different sprite. And I assume that the sprite's like specifics are shifted a little bit due to that, and for whatever reason it just works out when you crouch over gaps in that manner while running. But that's just only what I assume. Still pretty cool though. There's a clip in every world pretty much, although World 3 doesn't use it in this category. But yeah, they can be really troublesome at times. Also, this room is one of my favorite examples of it lags a lot, but I can actually like take out a lot of the enemies to make it better. Just remove all those guys out of the way. So it's really fun to do that one correctly. And yeah, Tornado sadly still has weaknesses. It doesn't go through any of those blocks. I have to puff all those out of the way. And it also actually isn't good on every single mini-boss, which we will see in the next world. I'll actually drop Tornado for once and use something different. Okay, that went really well. So, that kill right there is the fastest way to do that, but it works in such strange ways because my tornado ended and started while I was sort of within the hitbox of the paint roller, which is very absurd because while Tornado does have invincibility, there are a few moments in between them where it does wear out and you should get hit, as I did on the Poppy Bro in like 1-2. And something about the way it's all shifting around just like sometimes lets me pass through, and I have not the strongest clue why, but when it works out really well like that, it's really awesome. But yeah, 3, 2 here. I'm gonna be dropping this power. And in general, if anybody's ever followed the history of this game, the rooting within like the past year or two has been to add a lot more tornado. So there's some mixes that weren't seen before, especially in World 3 is a big one, where before you would just grab you get UFO here, and then later on in 3.5 you would grab Hammer and use that on Shine and Bright, the boss of the world. But now we just mix for Tornado either in 3.3 or 3.5. Mixing it in 3.3 is easier, but is 10 seconds slower. But the other method is really hard to do in 3.5, but it saves more time, so I usually go for it, but I'm not going to do that here, sadly, just because I want to not lose a lot of time. I will lose 20 seconds if I miss it overall there, but that's not too desirable. But, yeah. I'm gonna grab these 2 Starmen right here and try mixing it. There we go. Alright. And the only reason why this is slower is because finishing this level... Nice. Finishing this level with Tornado is a lot slower than if you just had done it with High Jump. And then same for the next arena and the next level. But sometimes you just gotta do what you do to be consistent. Something I hadn't mentioned at all about mixing, as I had done on the 2 Rockies in 3.2, is that none of the mixing is random. When you inhale enemies, it goes in a set order. And conveniently, when you inhale something and let the thing run out, what it does is it loops over the power that you were just on, and then it goes 7 powers ahead, and conveniently UFO is 7 powers ahead of Stone, so that works out really well there. Yeah. That arena was okay. I prefer it without the power. If I were to get Tornado here, I'd have to mix it off of these 2 enemies, which can be challenging because it becomes the 15th power on the list versus the 4th power as it was in 3.3. But yeah, aside from that, not too much special here, if you've got anything to say.
Absolutely. I just want to mention to those just coming in, welcome to Mid-Fall Speedball 2020. If you aren't sure of what we're doing, we are raising money in support of the White Bear Area Emergency Food Shelf. The White Bear Area Emergency Food Shelf has served as a critical resource for families experiencing food insecurity since 1977, providing food and support to over 1,200 families each month. They work towards eliminating barriers that limit access to healthy food for families living on a lower fixed income. The vision is to end food insecurity in the White Bear area, though their programs are open to anybody in need of food regardless of geographic boundaries. If you like donating or supporting this cause, feel free to hit !donate in chat, or if you have Twitch Prime, you can actually subscribe to us, and any subscriptions or bits that come in during this event will go directly to the White Bear Area Emergency Food Shelf, so any support does count. But Tracy, I did have something else I wanted to ask you, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So by no major glitches, is there a reason why you've specifically chosen this category over any other? I know there is I'm pretty sure there's a wrong warp in Kirby's Adventure, if that's correct?
Yes, I actually forgot to explain that. Sorry, so many things go over my head.
Hey,
so,
no, this is what I'm here for. I'm literally just going, hey, talk about this, let's talk.
Right. So, yeah, in this game, there is a way to warp straight to the credits, but it is really, really complicated. It involves using stone and water, which is not something that should happen normally, because if you use stone and drop into water, Kirby just reverts back to normal upon landing in the water. However, if you find a way to get yourself into a body of water from out of bounds, Kirby does not behave as though like they're swimming. So then, by activating stone and water, the game isn't prepared to handle it. So in trying to do something, it can freeze or corrupt the game, in which case sometimes it crashes and loads the credits. However, doing that directly doesn't usually happen. Instead, you have to pause it on like the right frame, like the 15th or 14th or something, to hopefully get the credits. But the category for that is really, really bad. It's one that most people know about, but it's not fun to play. Oh, that's not good. But yeah. It's not good because in any percent, you do it in 1-1 by doing a clip that is really, really precise. Unlike falling through the floor in the manners that I'll be doing in this run, you have to clip through a slope by jumping into it on a very precise pixel with like a 1-frame jump, along with like a bunch of other inputs. It's like, so any percent is like 45 minutes long, or 45 seconds. It's 45 seconds long, and it has like 5 frame perfect inputs in a row, including the pause to crash the game. And then on top of that, sometimes when the game needs to crash from pausing, it will just literally crash or reset instead of actually going to the credits, even if you got it right. So it just doesn't sound any good to me. So I'm like, let's do anything but that.
I was gonna actually ask, what do you recommend people who are interested in learning Kirby's Adventure to actually pick up?
I would say this is the easiest to get into. I made a tutorial over a beginner's guide for this game. My idea was that sometimes some people might find the concept of mixing things to be difficult, because it's not like frame perfect when you stop the powers, but you do get about 4 frames each. Like, that's typically how it is in most Kirby games. But yeah, it's like, oh, mixing might be really challenging starting off, along with everything else this game throws at you. So I was like, how about I just make a route that if it uses mixing, it only does ones that you can stop or wait out. And then on top of that, it just goes over a lot of alternatives and stuff. So I would recommend this. 100% gets really complicated with some of the powers you need, because in 100% to unlock that, you need to hit switches that exist between Worlds 3 and 6. And some of them are barricaded behind powers, so there's a lot of mixes there. I'm not even sure what a beginner route for that would look like. I can't remember too well. I'd have to go back and think about it sometime, but I mostly just focus on this category since it's already hard enough as is, and I want a really, really good time in it before I do 100%.
That makes sense. Although I think 100% sounds interesting, to be honest.
It is really interesting. I think overall it's a much cooler category. It's just so much more challenging, and this is my main focus until I get my goal. But
Wheel! Wheel!
Yes, Wheel is funny. If you are familiar with Nightmare in Dreamland, the remake of this game, which has seen a lot of attention over the years as a speed game. Ah, dang. It's the main power in that. It's also the main power in Amazing Mirror and Squeak Squad. Wheel was just really good in those games, but in this game it's not so great. Okay, so this level is really important to the run because normally the 2 enemies I inhaled in the last room, getting that setup is usually difficult itself. It's usually harder than the run, so the fact that I got them made me happy, because I can just inhale the Sparky and then it's a bad time. But yeah, then I needed to get UFO, which was after throw, but not too early, but that's okay. I knew I'd get enough backup for it. The wheel mix at the start of it is a newer thing, because normally you can just grab wheel later in the level, but if you can mix it earlier, that still saves a little bit of time there. But yeah, that's like the only level that is used in this game, ironically, compared to the remake. I do not like this arena. This is the only one that has like any real instances of luck with the enemy who spawned on the left at the top. They just kind of hop around and go wherever they want, and if I can't catch them immediately, it usually makes things difficult. Oh, okay. But luckily, it went pretty well.
I love it's called Burning. I don't think that's the English name, is it?
Actually, it's really weird. Burning is this power's name in like every Kirby game, except in the localization of this, for whatever reason, they changed it to Fireball. That's the only instance where it's ever known as Fireball in the
series.
Any other region of Kirby's Adventure.
Because I saw that and I was like, burning. That's a verb or gerund. That's not a thing.
Yeah. Maybe that might be why they changed it. But yeah. There was another clip there. That one is really hard to get usually because I only have like one tile to start a run or to start my dash on, and then I have to like clip immediately afterward. So not having much room can make it hard to prepare. But luckily that went well. And then Crackle here can be kind of fun to do. The climb itself is a bit interesting because for whatever reason, and I hadn't realized at first, you go faster if you just go straight up, which I didn't realize because before I used to just curve around like crazy. But yeah, hitting Krakow can be fun to optimize. I like to try to fall as close to the center as possible. So that was nice. 5-1. This first room here is one of the hardest in the game to do right. There's a lot of movement without Tornado, which can be tricky. But that was pretty decent. Good enough. I spent a lot of time practicing that. And then this room is also something I recently tried to reroute because there's a lot of lag and I want to take out all these enemies if possible. And there was just a path that we used to take that was way different from that. And I was like, okay, but if I do it this way, it saves about half a second, which doesn't sound like much, but it means a lot when you want to get like a 43 or 42 in this game.
Something came out from just seeing this game and we realized, oh wait, I remember Nintendo actually made a 3DS Classics for this. I completely forgot they did until I remember seeing this game. I was like, why have I feel like I played this more recently than I have, and I was like, oh, that's a thing. So are there any specific version differences just in general between the different versions of Kirby's Adventure? Like on the NES between PAL, NTSC, Japan?
So for all re-releases of the game, they're mostly similar, although on I think on the NES Classic and on Switch, if you try to do the credits warp glitch, the game gives you an error message that makes you just restart it, so it's impossible to do that there. Otherwise, all of the versions are mostly the same. As for re-releases, the 3DS version is actually the only one that's built entirely like different. Like the physics are all altered.
Oh.
Yeah, it has its own separated category that almost nobody has ran. But I'm not sure I would be interested in it, even if I could get 3DS capture, just because...
It's my time to shine. I will learn Kirby's Adventure the wrong way, the objectively worst way.
Yeah, on 3DS it has no lag, which sounds great, but like I hear all the physics are just so different, so it would probably throw me off like really bad. And Tornado is also a nerf. Like it performs worse and it doesn't have as much invincibility or whatever. So it doesn't sound very fun to me.
Ah, yes, the 20th anniversary collection. Remember now. Yeah, so Kirby's Adventure does hold a pretty, in my heart as well. I do genuinely think this is one of the best Kirby games, and I don't hear a lot of people talking about Kirby's Adventure, honestly.
You could talk to me about Kirby's Adventure all day. I love this game.
You mean you did literally design a Sona after it?
Yes, I did.
The cutest sheep in the world, designed after the clouds in a boss fight.
Yeah, in World 7, Rainbow Resort, I took some of the clouds as inspiration for the wool on my sheep. But, so at the end of that level there, we saw that I took a lot of damage, and that was just so I didn't drop Tornado, because if you get hit by spikes, well, if you get hit by anything, your star ejects, but if your star hits spikes, then it disintegrates immediately. So that's not good. And in this level, people used to not use Tornado because they're like, well, it's too hard to get through all those spikes there. But then someone was bold enough to try, like, okay, it's not that bad if you just do it like this. And so others started trying, so a few people do that now. And I'm like, great, because before, oh, that was really good. I don't usually end right on top of the door, so that was nice. But yeah, before you would grab Ball there and try to go through this section with it, which would be extremely complicated, because using Ball in this game is very awkward. I think Ball only exists in this game and in the remake, and in both it is really awkward for like the exact opposite reasons. Like in this game, Ball is really weird because it controls so stiffly that it is difficult. It's difficult to use in that manner. But in the remake, it moves so fluidly that it then becomes difficult to control because it gets out of hand very fast. So, in both sections though, in 5.4, you used to use Ball here, and you would use Ball in the remake. I'm not sure if they still do though. I'm not as familiar with that run. But yeah, I'm just like, let me hit Tornado here because it's much easier to handle and just faster overall. And right here, there's gonna be, this is the only clip of this type in the game, where it's called an acute angle clip, and it's because the corners of this roof do not meet properly, so I can just kind of float up in here. And I messed up, and I am really good at not getting it, but it's okay. There we go. I want to be careful here. If I go too close to the middle of that area, I would have been soft locked. But yeah, none of that. So yeah, you can do that clip without a power. That's like one of the only ones you can do without a power. And revisiting the category title of No Major Glitches, the only other significant glitch that is banned are a glitch that lets you keep copy abilities either by discarding your power on the same frame as pausing and exiting the level, or dropping it on the same frame as getting hurt, which it only lets you keep certain powers, the most significant of those being UFO, so sometimes it's just called the UFO glitch, and that run abuses it, because normally leaving a level with UFO, it just removes it from you, but the glitch makes the game think that you don't have any power, so it never tries to remove it, and it won't remove any power from you even if you get hurt, so that's pretty cool, but it's a very difficult category. I don't recommend it starting off, but I still think it's fun. It has like the least amount of runners.
Is this called UFO glitch? The category?
It's listed as any percent UFO, but I just say UFO glitch just to simplify it, just in case. Like, well, what does any percent UFO mean? Like, you get UFO already in the game, right?
Yeah, any percent, except you get to spot a single UFO in the sky. If you see the enemy on the screen, you split. That's it. End game.
That sounds like it'd be a good meme category.
No, I would love that. Where is the earliest time you would see the UFO enemy anyhow?
You could see a UFO on the second screen of the first level, so very quickly.
Yeah, that's a good meme category. This
whole level is kind of complicated. All of the rooms are really difficult do normally. There's a lot of lag. I didn't hit anything, but that's fine. Yeah, just trying to optimize lag reduction, especially in levels like that, is difficult. But no problem. This level doesn't really have anything I could talk about if you got something to say.
Yeah, I just want to mention a few more of the donations, or not donations, sorry, a few more of the goals that we have for donations. As soon as speedrun.com loads, because this is what it's like. But essentially, we still also have, as I failed to mention, we actually have for the Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix HD. That's a great title. We have the incentive of Watch the Credits. It's currently sitting at $0.35. There's also a few bid wars currently up for some of the games coming out tonight, being ran tonight. My favorite of which is the file letter for Pokemon Rumble. Do you want A, or B, or C? Please give money for it. I genuinely love that so much. I can't explain why, but that single bid war makes me smile, just to see that the only options are a single letter, and you choose your favorite letter.
I think I'm gonna have to go with A.
Okay, I will donate.
I might, yeah, I'm probably gonna donate for that later. That sounds too good.
I have to ask another question, Tracy. What would you say is your favorite level in the game as a whole?
That's a very good question. There's a few levels. Oh, nice, I got that. That is kind of hard to do. Anyway, there's a few levels that are very satisfying to run, like this one. And then there's a few levels that I just love a lot. Like, I already love them casually. Like the last level, 7-6, is just really good. I will talk about that when we get there. But yeah. Getting myself up that ladder, there's only one tile with Tornado, is pretty difficult to do. If I had missed it, I would have just had to wait for Tornado to run out, which would have lost more time than it would have been worth, but that was good. They're pretty satisfying. This game as a whole, I mean, a lot of speed games are like that, of course, but like, you know, when you get something right, you feel very rewarded.
It's satisfying.
Yeah, it is very good. This level has another out of bounds clip, but this one is a little more scary, at least when first approaching it. Because not only do I have to just do this, I have to also stay... Nice, I have to stay in the middle section and not do that. Yeah, didn't want. So, you pop out the top side, you gotta retry it. You go through the bottom instead, you don't get to do it again, you just have to lose 30 seconds. Oh, come on, please get through the ground. Oh, how annoying. Yep, so yeah, these can be pretty difficult to do all, like, first try. Oh my gosh. And none of these are different from each other, like, realistically, in terms of, like, how you execute it. So, like, once you get the muscle memory down for doing one of the clips like that, you can realistically do any of them, but, again, asking yourself to do them all first try every time can be difficult. And they can be difficult to get in general at times, but... So,
I'm surprised there's such consistency though with like the input style, even if it's like it's the same sort of trick, so you just sort of need to get used to that, and then as soon as you get used to that, it's fine. That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, there's just a few variances. Like there's one in the first level of World 7 where it's on ice, and there's also lag, so it's really tricky there. But yeah. So this level, not really much going on.
Very abrupt change in scenery.
Yeah, I like how it gets really dark suddenly.
And the fact that it's like, hey, you're on a beach, you want to go see some ice?
Yeah, I'm not really sure what was up with the choice in that, but regardless, the level still looks gorgeous, which is
it really does.
Part of all that matters. I heard that the people who designed the background sprites to this game, they actually had like artists hand draw everything first before they said, okay, now let's turn this into scenery.
That's
so a lot
really
of good
impressive.
effort was put into it.
That's really impressive,
yeah,
honestly.
It's so beautiful. I love it.
I guess that makes sense though, because there's always been the sense with Kirby's Adventure that there's a very hand-drawn element to a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that makes a lot more sense now.
I've done that twice in the past week, which is funny, but that's fine. So that UFO room can be really scary because of like the first 2 UFOs, the second of which actually tried to run right into my face. Because if I get hit like immediately, then I'm gonna drop my tornado into the abyss, which I really want to keep. But I don't ever really change my game plan to react to them. I just kind of hope. I just go for it because I don't have time to do anything else. And this isn't going as well as I would like, but it's... Oh, come on, get up there. It's so difficult. It's not that bad, though. As long as I don't get hurt, because Meta Knight is up next, and Meta Knight is a jerk. With grabbing it? Well, actually, UFO used to be used in the routing in that level. We used to not keep Tornado through all of World 6, but having Tornado in 7-1 is faster. If you get UFO, then you would lose it by the end of the level. So, overall, it's more worth that time save. Also, it looked like I got beat up a lot, but that's just kind of how the Meta Knight fight works. Like, you just go at it and hope that he doesn't attack or block too much. So I usually want to keep all of my health. If I have less than 4 health, I am very scared. But yeah. That was pretty alright. Having Tornado makes all of this faster, though. Otherwise, I would have to come through here and get Laser to do a clip, or to help me set up this clip, but instead I just do this. So this is the one I mentioned. It's on ice, and it lags because of these 2 enemies to the left, making sprites happen like that. So, come on. There we go. This clip is also fun now because I get to do this instead of just like sliding through everything. But I apologize, were you gonna say something? Okay.
Oh, I was gonna say basically to Scary in the chat, yeah, so the reason why Kirby is a slightly different sprite in the flag holding one is because that Kirby doesn't have a power-up, whereas the Kirby we have does have a power-up, and they are slightly more orange as a result. And we've explained that this might be the reason why certain clips work in this game.
Yeah. It's very neat. Also, this level can be really scary, but sometimes it's pretty good. So 7-2 in Nightmare in Dreamland is known to be like a big destroyer of runs because there's so much luck here. But in this, usually, like, I want to say 70% of the time, you get the patterns that you need, so it's not that bad. Which would be good. It would be that Bugsy and the Rolling Turtle rushing at me immediately so I can do that. And then if this Fire Lion jumps down immediately, that would be the best thing, but... yeah, not bad. This room is funny. So there's like 5 1-ups in there, and just having 5 1-ups in one room apparently is enough to make it lag a lot. So I grabbed the first one in my path, and it automatically reduces a lot. So that was good.
That's kind of funny, actually.
Yeah, it's like, well, let's not pay any more than 5. It might crash the game or something. Who knows?
Yeah, we might actually lose Kirby. The funniest thing is they might have just like, oh no, Kirby's now not priority of sprite. We need to make sure the 6 1-ups are on there, okay?
7-3 is my single least favorite level in the game. This one is really, really obnoxious. Okay, I got Tornado first try, so that's good. The funny thing is, I could mix off of several of these if I kept failing it. It's not the hardest mix, but it's one I miss now and then. But I would get like 4 tries in a row if I really needed it. But this level is annoying because it has cursed geometry because all of these slopes do not interact very well, unfortunately. It looks like it's going well though. Oh, no it's not. Alright, cool. Well, it didn't go any worse than that, but yeah. So, I said earlier that slopes will speed you up if you go down them, but slow you down if you go up them. That also affects Tornado. So if I brushed into any of the slopes while going up, then it would be shorted out immediately. Like, that's the only way Tornado never lasts as long as it normally does, is if it interacts with a slope in that manner. So
that seemed pretty smooth, though.
Yeah, luckily. This is not. This room... Okay, there's like a handful of rooms in this game that are like, okay, what if... And I'm just stealing this from what a friend said. What if we just made this a bad Mario Maker level and just put enemies everywhere? But, yeah, so...
Accurate. Why? Why is it doing this? I can see exactly what you mean. This just seems like something that would get like a 2 out of 5 rating on Miiverse.
But yeah, overall though, aside from that, like sometimes I expect it to be rough, but yeah, fine. A little bit of luck in this level, but the rest is up to me, and it's good. I don't really need to worry too much about my health here overall, so I'm not concerned there.
Also, do you play on Famicom then?
Yes, actually I am playing on a Famicom. At first I had just an NES, and I would use a cart converter to fit my Japanese copy in, play it that way. But eventually I just was like, okay, I kind of want an AV Famicom, because those are kind of cool. So I gave away my American NES and my US copy of Kirby's Adventure to a friend.
That's sweet of you still.
Yeah. I also gave away one of my EverDrives, because I got a different one, but yeah. So this level has a few things going on, but not really. Nice. Getting through there smoothly can be difficult, but all good. So 7-6, casually, at least is my favorite level coming up, just because it is, Kirby's Dream Land, the first one, was released in 92, and then this was released in 97, and already there's just like a callback to that game, which I find to be funny.
97? Wasn't it 93?
Did I say that? I meant 93.
I was like so confused. I was like, 1997 NES game?
I mean, that would explain why it's so good, right? It came out so late. But
I mean, 1993 is actually quite late.
Yeah, 93 is late. Some of the last NES games released in 94.
Hard to believe that this game is one of the best, like, amazing little, like, this is a really good NES title, and the actual last one's Wario's Woods. Which is not up to quality, I would argue.
I always feel like, I don't know, I could talk about this game forever, and I feel like I never, like, say enough on it, but something I didn't mention is that this is, like, the second largest NES game in general. It's the largest one that was released outside of Japan. Like, this thing is, like, the size of 700-something kilobytes, which sounds incredibly, like,
it's like
small.
what? It's like a few text files.
Yeah, right. It's
one
like,
photo.
Right. But the single largest game on the system, which is Japan only, was also a HAL Laboratory game called Metal Slater Glory, and that is like a little over 1,000, so like 1 megabyte.
That's actually isn't that a text adventure if I recall?
Yeah, it's like a visual novel almost, and it's crazy though because they spent so much money on that game that it almost made HAL go bankrupt, and then they had to get a lot closer to Nintendo to survive. So, I reset the game to set up a manipulation on D2D, and again, I interacted with the ground in certain ways. Nice. Now I'm messing up. This is going splendid. Please do something good. That's not something good. There we go. So, you know what? Can't always expect to be flawless, as D2D is. So, yeah. I bounced into the floor and the walls just to make sure everything went well, but sometimes the end isn't guaranteed for whatever reason. Like, the ending of the fight usually varies with what pattern D2D's gonna give, and I definitely goofed it, but you know what? No problem. Nightmare here. The first phase and the second phase aren't too luck heavy, but there's a little bit involved. But yeah, this is mostly just me mashing to make sure I can get steady damage on them. I'm at least guaranteed to take damage twice. Don't really want to take too much, but I took like 2 extra hits, but that's whatever. That was decent enough. Sometimes the game can soft lock here. It never has in a marathon, but part of why I keep my estimate high is in case it does, because it is the funniest soft lock I've ever seen, and I would like to show it in its entirety, but it lasts like 4 minutes. not sure if anybody would ever be okay with that. So it would definitely be faster just to refight DDD. But yeah, the screen will like infinitely loop sideways and then start going in other directions before it fixes itself, and then it goes to the moon. It is very rare, but if it ever happened on a PB pace, it would probably be the most annoying thing ever. Alright, so that was Nightmare on this phase. Has a little bit of luck on some of the phases where how soon he attacks varies, and also his height in general varies like all the time. So the first and fifth turns are the ones where it varies when he attacks and also where he spawns, and I usually miss those just because I'm not always prepared for it. Like if he had attacked any sooner than that, I would have been very annoying. Oh, come on. Alright, well, we're just missing all the shots. But that's fine. Timing will end, I think, on the next hit. So, right here. Goodbye.
Time?
Yeah.
Awesome. Still waiting on the stream end, but it seems like it's around a 45-minute time.
45? Not too bad, honestly.
45.28.
Nice. 45s are pretty average. Been having 44 paces, 43 paces lately. I'm not usually that dedicated to most speed games, but since this is one of my favorites, I'm trying really hard to get top times in like every category, but any percent, because any percent, again, as stated, is just lame. But yeah, so that was fun.
Absolutely. Tracy, is there anything you'd like to mention to everyone here? If anything you want to shout out or talk about before at the end of this run?
Just want to talk about how amazing the overall Kirby speedrunning community is. Like, everybody there is really kind. It's one of my two most favorite communities. Not everybody is always actively running each of the games, but now and then we run similar things, and we organize a lot of events. Like, we have we've been doing like a Kirby relay race through like various titles in the series for like the past 2 years now. It was Japan only at first, and then it was every other country versus Japan, and then we're gonna do that again like next March or something probably. So that's a lot of fun. Yeah, just really fun. If you're ever thinking about running a Kirby game, I would suggest it. They look really cute, and like there's not a lot involved, but then you get into them and they're like kind of technical, and just try it. Trust me, if you're ever thinking about it. But yeah, that's about all I think I can say. Thank you so much for having me. It was fun to be here.
Absolutely, we loved having you as well, Tracy. It was genuinely really good. It was a really good blast. I had a lot of fun with this, and I definitely hope everyone else in chat did as well. It was really just so fun.
Alright. I'll be heading off now then.
No worries. So up next we're gonna have Talcarays actually come back. Due to the unfortunately, it seems like his PC actually just flat out stopped working, as in the hard drive either corrupted or the motherboard was going out. So really unfortunate timing, but he is currently trying his best at his friend's house to actually get something back up and running. So hopefully we're gonna be able to see Vibing with the Universe before we head off to TGH.